Athlete's Feet 2023. We're just gonna hop right into it, and I'm just gonna ask you. He came to me with the idea to have a podcast, and it took us a while to kind of figure out what we wanted to do with the name and where we wanted to go with that. But we both settled on Athlete's Feet, and we both felt pretty good about it because it's portraying the message that we're trying to get across, not only the people who might listen to our podcast or eventually wear our apparel or whatever it may be, but why don't you elaborate on that and kind of explain why we chose Athlete's Feet?
Oh, yeah, okay, so we landed on Athlete's Feet a couple weeks back here now, and just like Tanner said, I think it just really represents what we're trying to put across as not only our message in our podcasting, but also our brand as well. Just based off of the fact, Athlete's Feet, this is a podcast not only for athletes and everyone else, but by athletes, and we're going to be bringing in other high-tier athletes to speak on certain things and give their own stories and talk about their journeys as well. Athlete's Feet just kind of speaks to me in a way that everyone's dealing with their own stuff. Everyone's trying to defeat their own things. They have their own challenges and battles every single day and monthly or yearly, right? There's stuff going on that everyone's trying to beat, and we just want to come in here as a group and show that we can do these things together.
Yeah, I agree completely. And kind of my vision when I see and hear Athlete's Feet, I think of, well, anyone can be an athlete, and it doesn't matter if you're biking, if you're playing basketball, if you're snowboarding, skiing, whatever the sport is. You could be walking down the street. We're still going to call you an athlete, and that's really what this comes down to. It's your personal goals and your personal experiences doing these things and becoming a better version of yourself and really trying to learn and grow and develop who you are as an individual, and whether that be to strengthen your mental health, whether that be to strengthen your physical physique, whatever it is. That I think there's lots that go into Athlete's Feet, and really we just want to showcase other people and not just us. We go through it every day. We talk about it with each other every day about what we're doing. We both like to work out a lot, so we're always talking about the weight room and how much weight we're putting up, whatever it may be. But we really want to shed light on other people that we know of that we might not know as well, and hear their story and hear what they want to tell you, because a lot of athletes don't tell you everything that they go through. It's really what the media portrays of them or what's posted on their Instagram, but they don't get to sit down and really tell you what they went through, how they went through it, how they overcame it, and how they came to where they are at this place in time. So I think that's where I see it really expanding and going. I know Lincoln's on the same page as me with that, but yeah, this first episode was really just to get a feeler out there, let y'all know, let our listeners know, our few listeners know what we're trying to get accomplished with this, because I know a few people have been asking us these last couple weeks, this week, whatever, what we're trying to do with this. We just finished having a basketball tournament, just a small tournament we put together, a little Athlete's Feet Classic tournament. We thought it went pretty good. It was pretty successful.
It did.
Why don't you talk about that?
So we just kind of threw together a last minute tournament so we could just kind of get the name out there and do something small for the community. I played in it. It was a lot of fun. But no, it was a good turnout, better than we both thought it was going to be. Had some fans there, mostly family, just getting the southern Alberta community out there, which is good, we're both a part of that community, so it's nice to get some involvement there. But yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun kicking this thing off, doing a lot of different things to get us out there, like getting the apparel out, even just getting our podcast out to you so you guys can really know what we are about and what we want to accomplish. And really what we want to accomplish is just, if you guys can take any pieces of information from us or any of our guests that we have on and apply them in a positive way to your guys' life, then we feel like that's us doing our job.
Success, yeah.
Yeah.
And we want your ideas too. If you guys have a suggestion on people who should come on the podcast or who you think have a crazy story that not everyone might know, it might be a random person that nobody knows about, but they went through this crazy trial that brought them to where they are here in life. And you know, another thing, our podcast, our brand is called Athlete's Feet, but really we want to brand everyone that has a cool story of overcoming something challenging in life, because there's so many things that people go through that really you don't know about unless they talk about it. And so we want to really give people the opportunity to showcase themselves and tell their side of the story.
Yeah, exactly. And in our eyes, athletes come in all shapes and sizes, right? Not just your typical football player or typical, high tier athlete that you see on TV, but any sort of challenge that you go through mentally or physically. What?
Just laughing at him. Sorry.
No, I think athletes can come in any form, right? And challenges come in any form as well, right? So it's not necessarily just, doing things like getting a better 40 time or being able to do 100 push-ups. But even if you're a mom and you take your kid for a 30-minute walk around the park when you're pushing them, right? Like, that's your athlete's feat of the day, type thing. And that's you bettering yourself that's just what we want for everyone, right? Just small stuff to make your lives better.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I'm hoping that with this podcast, I can show you guys kind of an inside behind the scenes of what a college athlete does, and hopefully one day as well what an NFL athlete does. Obviously, those are my goals, and if anyone who's listening to this knows that's what I'm trying to do.
And we have our very own Tanner here who is going through these things himself, right? He is a college athlete who is in the shit every single day, has gone through big things like an ACL injury. You've switched schools to a Power 5 school last year. Now you're going through the process of really getting down to the nitty-gritty and doing what you got to do to get to the next level, which is not many people who make it out, right? But you're doing it right now, and it's just amazing to see the work that you do day in and day out to accomplish these goals. And it's definitely going to be a big year for you. So I know that you've got your own unique story that a lot of people on here have either heard or will hear more and more about, which I'm excited about because it's definitely inspiring and makes, no matter if you were another athlete or somebody in school or going to work, hearing stories like his and many other athletes makes you want to do more yourself on a daily basis. And that's really all you can ask of yourself or anyone else around you, is just doing a little bit more every single day.
Yeah, and I think too, to kind of piggyback off of that, I think my opinion and my experiences and challenges that I've gone through will be really cool to express on the podcast as well to you guys, and to share with the other athletes that we have on the podcast. And I know for both Lincoln and I, sports have really guided our life. I mean, he played basketball all growing up. He's a basketball coach now. Like, he plays basketball all the time. He works out all the time. I've seen it with my own eyes. Obviously for me, sports and athletics have kind of steered my life to where I am now at Arizona. But just coming back to what we think about Athlete's Feet and where we see it going, everyone has their own story. And I might be repeating myself now, but everyone's got their own thing that they've gone through, certain challenges. I'm definitely repeating myself. I already talked about this, but we're just excited to showcase it and really talk about the ins and the outs, and not just what you see on TV, what you see on Instagram. That
Mm-hmm.
we want to exploit the behind the scenes, I guess.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Right. Everyone's got stuff that they don't necessarily want out there as their public image, and that's starting to change. But everyone's got that, and hopefully, by us being able to share a little bit more about ourselves and being a little bit more open with you guys, and we can get other people who are so graciously to do the same to help you guys, to show you guys that everyone has their own struggles, that it's okay to talk about struggles because it's life, right? And we don't have to hide these certain things about this, and they don't make us any less of humans, or doesn't make us, it doesn't make Tanner less tough of a football player, or less, any male person watching any less manly, right? To have mental struggles, because it's just a part of life. So we really want to get right into mental health this episode, as we know that it affects so many people, and it's such an awesome thing that it's become a big talking point these last few years, especially in athletics overall and college athletics. It's a huge factor, right? There's these at the college level, most of them are still kids, right? 18, 19-year-old people, they're kids, and they have to go most of the time to a new city, a new state, even a new country, right? And on top of it, you're forced to meet expectations that are higher than ever, right? Higher than ever for the certain kid, and on top of it, you're taking harder schoolwork than you've ever had on top of it. So your schedule now becomes so much more compact than any high school kid has really ever had it, and it's not usually talked about how hard of a transition it really is mentally, because not only are you expected more than you've ever had to in your whole life, you're also away from your family for the first time for most people, and it's a lot. So I know Tanner started off at SUU, and I know that you've went through a lot of things yourself. And so what could you touch on, in especially your first year, just being away from home, stepping into all those new expectations as a football player and just a human, and how you dealt with those?
well, first I'll say that my experience is probably a lot different than most because I did that extra year of high school down in Arizona. So I had the luxury of living with family and playing sports and kind of getting to experience life away from home. Kind of like a bridge year, a gap year, whatever you'd say. I experienced life away from home without having the full workload of college athletics. So that was a blessing for me. It allowed me to kind of adapt and get used to being in a different environment and learning new people, meeting a new team, whatever that might entail, and then eventually getting to Southern Utah. But yes, Southern Utah, that first year was tough. The amount of things you have to do and tasks you have to handle every day, whether it's sports related, school related, or just life in general. I mean, there's a lot. And you are also learning how to time manage. You're learning how to kind of, what's the right word? Prioritize, I guess, would be the correct word to use.
Mm-hmm.
Really just prioritizing your time and trying to figure it out. You're still a kid, like Lincoln said. You're still a kid. You're still learning how to time manage, and it was stressful. I my first year of college, I had really bad anxiety. I was very stressed, and I think a lot of kids do. They just don't say it, and they cope with it. But I wasn't afraid to say it, and then I ended up having a sports psychologist that helped me out, that I talked to, and because I would just start breathing really heavy, like I felt like my heart was gonna pop out of my chest because of the anxiety I would get from football. And I overcame that through help with him, and really figuring out who I wanted to be, and figuring it out within myself. So I think that was big for my first year. That was my real test with mental health. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but it happens to everyone.
Yeah, no, it happens to everyone. I also went through my fair share of mental health issues when I was younger, and I am super grateful for sports and the people through sports I had in my life at the time, because it really made my whole experience with mental health really doable. If I were to say any word, I just think having a certain goal, even if it's small, just having sort of some sort of direction can really help your mind, stay somewhat focused on who you are as a person and what you're trying to do with your life. Cause I've never been was never a bad student, but I was never like a 90s student doing everything right in the classroom. I was just there to be there, but I was a smart enough kid I could apply myself. But sports, I felt, was one thing that really kept my head on straight and allowed me to still be the person that I felt that I was, even though with my mental health issues, I felt a lot of the time I wasn't who I was supposed to be, if that makes sense. But yeah, growing up, even still to this day, I feel now I don't play basketball, but even being able to work out consistently is huge for my mental health. I feel like there was a time before I started lifting and after I was done playing basketball, it was really tough for me mentally not having any sort of physical activity there for me, as that was something that really was there for me my whole life. And again, quickly talking on the relationships that I built through sports and that helping me through everything with my mental health issues. Just even, meeting people like Tanner and all these other boys that I started going to school with because of basketball. It was huge for me and really helped turn me into the person that I am today, and I'm ever so gracious for it. But if we go straight into just talking about the benefits of physical activity for your mental health, we both know that the lowest that we've ever been is when we've kind of strayed away from any physical activity. I'm sure that there were points with you when you were just purely unable to do a lot of the things you wanted to do with your ACL injury, that I'm sure some of those days were the toughest that you've
and
had.
and on the opposite side of that too, when I was at my first year at Southern Utah, there would be days where I'd wake up and the last thing I wanted to do was go run.
Right.
Or there was days where I'd wake up, the last thing I'd want to go do is work out. And yeah, being a college athlete is different because you don't really have a choice. You have to go do those things, and you learn how to get used to that schedule and coping with that. But for just the regular person, I mean, it's okay. A good thing to touch on too, I think, is that it's okay to not to wake up one day and have no desire to go. The challenge is how can you still get better even when you can't give it everything you got. And that's when something like going to the gym and riding the bike for 30 minutes is great. Like you're doing something, or you go on a walk, or you know we talk about how athletics affects mental health, but mental health is affected by so much more than athletics. And maybe it's a simple thing like you setting your alarm and waking up right when your alarm gets set, instead of, you know, sleeping in and feeling like crap. And yeah, I'm the worst for
I'm
that.
the worst.
Like I'm
Yeah.
the worst. I know that I set what, probably 7-8 alarms every morning just to make sure, because I get scared, especially with being a college athlete. I'm terrified. It's one of my biggest fears, is missing a workout or being late to a meeting, whatever it may be. You just can't let it happen. So I don't know how you feel about that.
No,
Not the college athlete part, but just like
It's
keep
habits. It's habits,
yeah,
right?
it is.
Habits really can dictate a person's life, and we all have good habits, but we all have bad habits. I
Yeah.
don't care how efficient that you are, you definitely have some bad habits. Just like the alarm clock thing, I have to admit I am terrible at. I set 3 or 4 alarms every morning, and I'll have the intentions of waking up with the first one, but then realistically I wake up with the last one and I don't have the
Yes.
time that I would like to get ready.
And then it's
Everything,
stress. That's
yeah,
just
it is stress.
instant stress on your day. Um, I can't remember. Someone told me one time that how you wake up in the morning is like the biggest, basically the most important part of your day. Because if you wake up, and another thing we'll touch on too, is diet and how your
Yep.
diet affects mental health. Because if I'm not eating, I'm not happy. That's just how it goes. I feel, because especially with my body being my product for football and what I'm trying to use to go compete. I mean, if I'm not fueling myself with proper diet, if I'm not working out, if I'm not getting enough sleep, all these things, I mean, I can just feel it build up. And, I get some release when I go work out and I go train. It helps release those stresses. But, I mean, you're just hurting yourself from the beginning if you don't wake up with the right mindset, knowing that you got to go attack the day, even when you don't feel like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have to say, even just like you said, not having enough time to properly eat before you leave your house for work. Like, I was on a super good streak of eating every single morning. I would eat Greek yogurt and maybe an egg or two, and it would just start my day off perfect. But I don't know what's happened, but in probably the last month and a half, I don't think I've done it once. Like, 'cause I've just gotten
Been
into the
busy.
route. Yeah,
It's been busy.
but it's busy, but it's also, I will then use half an hour of my time that I should be sleeping. Like, I don't get to sleep early enough, and then I don't want to wake up soon enough to do it. And I've noticed a difference in my day and the quality in my mood, and I'm sure my actions reflect that as well. So it's really just investing back into your body and giving it the best fuel to make you feel better day in and day out. Really.
Another thing too with mental health that I've found is finding ways, and this is what kind of sounds like the opposite you'd want to do, but finding ways to make yourself uncomfortable. Because yeah, your mental health, like for example, my first year of college, my mental health was just screaming at me like, oh, you don't want to do anything, you want to sit at home, you want to watch TV, you want to be comfortable. You want to be comfortable. That's what I remember my mind just screaming comfort, comfort, comfort. Whether that's comfort food, whether
Mm-hmm.
that's comfort laying in your bed doing nothing, whatever it might be. And when I began to realize that the exact way to attack your mental health and really help yourself out is to make yourself uncomfortable by, like we said, setting your alarm and getting up right away, or going and doing the workout you don't feel like doing, or eating the food that you know is going to help you in the long run and not in the short term. That's when you start creating those habits, I feel,
Mm-hmm.
that really start affecting your mental health, so that each day you're stacking days. And my tight end coach always talks about stacking days, stack days, stack, stack, stack. Like, what can you do today to make yourself better tomorrow? And mental health is all about that. You're not going to fix your issues in one day. You're not going to wake up and just know that, oh, I'm good now. Like, it's all in the clear. It's in the past. No, that's not how it works. Like, I've been attacking my mental health every day for the last 5 years, really, just trying to fortify it, try and create the best possible version of myself, really. And I don't know. I know you got some stuff to say on that, because I think for everyone, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a regular person, you have to attack it every day. Otherwise, you're going to get comfortable.
Yeah, and like you said, it's more of a battle than defeating it, right? You never, for the most part, defeating your bad mental health. It's a constant battle, and it always needs your attention, right? So there's going to be good times and there's going to be bad times, right? But it's with all these habits, it's making it easier for the percentage of time to be good, right? Like for the majority of time, you have good mental health, opposed to if you've just let all of the bad habits come into play, then your majority of the time is going to have you at your bad mental health state, right? So waking up, eating the right food, doing a workout, taking care of your business, yes, that feels good, and yes, that's going to help a ton, but it's not going to quote unquote fix you. You're still going to feel things inside that you're going to say, fuck, that sucks. Like that really sucks, but you know that I can take this down today, right? I can feel like this today. I'm going to get through my workout or whatever it is that I got to get through. And then I know that because I woke up and I made lunch for the next day, that tomorrow is going to be a better day and I'm going to feel better. And you know what? You end up usually do feel a bit better. And I know that for sure for getting in the gym. I know that sometimes between work and coaching and just other life things that come into play, let's say it's 7, 8 o'clock at night, and I'm like, I don't really want to go to the gym. I haven't had dinner yet, nothing like that. I just get something quick in me. I go to the gym, and I come home and I say, oh my goodness, thank God I got to the gym because that made me feel so much better. And you know what? There's the occasional time where I'll go at 7 or 8, and I'm super tired, and I half-ass a workout, and I'm only there for 40 minutes, and I probably didn't go as hard as I should, and I come home, and I still at least feel better than I did. I never come home thinking, oh, I wish I didn't go.
And you get to a point with the consistency that kicks in that you get to the gym, and when you get to that point, you go for those 45 minutes, and then you get home, and you're like, oh, I did the work, but I know I can do more.
Mm-hmm.
And then you wake up the next. That's when you know you've really attacked your consistency and your mental health, in my opinion. Because then you know, okay, I got an hour set aside in my busy-ass day to go work out. I'm going to go attack this workout with everything I got. And at least for me, like right now, we've been working out. And, you know, the workouts haven't been crazy. It's my off season. I've been trying to get my body healthy and get it right and just really get prepared for the true off season that starts next week with the football team. But just getting yourself there.
Yep.
That's half the battle, right?
Yeah.
And over time it turns into, well, I only had to get myself there once this week. And then, it's been 2 weeks since I had to get myself there. The rest of the days I wanted to go,
Right.
whatever it might be. And then it turns into, well, it's your off day. Well, shoot, it's my off day, but I feel like I can go do something. And maybe it's not working out. Maybe it's whatever, something else athletic wise, whatever it may be, to really help yourself.
I think another big thing for everyone and their mental health, but especially athletes who are taking on new things, it's very important for them to have their own type of support system, right? Because it's important that everybody talks about how they're doing with somebody, right? And have some form of communication. So even just for you, how much has your support system helped you out through the tough times, and who is your support system?
The first clear picture that comes to my mind is my mom and dad.
Mm-hmm.
They've been the support system for me since obviously day one. They know everything about how I feel sports wise. They know how I think. They know how I play. They know usually what's going on through my head before I even tell them. So to have somebody that really understands you and is looking to really see you do your best and want to see you succeed, I mean, that's the best person you could have for a support system, I think. And really, they just need to be there to tell you when you're jacking around, when you're doing things right, when you're doing things wrong, and you have to be brutally honest. That's the only way to really have a connection. Is you got to be open about yourself and open with them and honest about really how you're feeling, and you got to be vulnerable. That's the key. That's the way that mental health gets fixed, is really by putting yourself in an uncomfortable position where you have to talk about the things that make you uncomfortable. and it sucks, but it works. And
Mhm.
I know you've had kind of the same experience. I know you're very close with your mom,
Mhm.
and you talk to her about a lot. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, for sure. Obviously, same as you said. Both of my parents would definitely be number one on my support system. I even still work with my dad till this day. I am very lucky that I get to have the form of communication that I do with him. He's super understanding, and even just based on him, I think it's pretty cool how he's changed his approach to just being able to listen to people. And yeah, I think it's pretty cool to see an older person really change their ways and just grow and show me that I'm only 23. I'm far from done growing. Like I'm far from my final self, and I think that's a really positive thing, because if you think that, you can't improve yourself in any way, or, I make enough money, or I do this right, I communicate perfectly, all these things, is you're not going to get better, and everyone can get better at different aspects in their life. So I think just for a role model in my life, it's pretty cool to see him change in a lot of positive ways. So, but yeah, a strong support system is more than anyone can ask for. And I know that there's a lot of people who don't necessarily have their parents in their life, like we're so graciously able to have them in our lives. Even if it's a friend or a significant other or a coach, right, or a past coach or a teacher or someone who is there, who knows enough about you and is there to help lift you up, but also, like you said, be honest with you and tell you if you're messing around, right? Because
And go
yeah,
ahead.
no, you can't have all good and you can't have all bad, right? If there's someone really looking out for you, they're going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, right? So
Hmm.
I think that's super important.
And I have the best example sitting right next to me. I mean, this dude was texting me before every game. He's texting me, shoot, almost every day. We've been really all football season, all year, all this past 2022 year. We talk almost every day, kind of, and he's been great to bounce my feelings and my thoughts off, because this was a new process for me coming into Arizona this year, going through my ACL and coming to a new team, going through fall camp, and then the whole season. I mean, but he was there for every step of the way, and he's just as invested in it as I am, and that's how you know that that's someone you want on your side, and that's someone that you can really bounce your feelings off of and have as a support system. So having a best friend to do that, I mean, I can't ask for much more than that. It's been awesome. It comes in all different forms for every person, and every story is different. Maybe it's your grandma that you've
Yeah.
been close with for years. Like, it really just, it happens to everyone. So it happens different for everyone. So um and along with the support system, and this kind of, I touched on it earlier, but reaching out for help
Yes.
when, again, putting yourself in an uncomfortable position, but going out of your way, reaching out for help, reaching out. I think coaches are great, because if it's sports related, they usually have seen it before. They usually have dealt with it, and not every coach is like that, and you can't talk to every coach in that way. But I think coaches are great to bounce off how you're feeling, because they want the best for you. If your mental space and your mental health isn't where it's supposed to be, how are you supposed to compete for them at the highest level? Like, it's just not going to happen. So coaches are great. I think teachers are great. Obviously, like for me, my sports psychologist, excuse me, when I was at Southern Utah was awesome. So there's tons of people out there that want to help. You just got to make sure you find the right one that is really invested in you. So
Yeah. 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 I actually, growing up, I had a basketball coach who coached me in high school and was also, where I'm from a small school, was also my teacher as well. And she was one of the best people I've ever had in my life. Uh, Not only to, talk about what I was going through, but also to see a vision of what I could be. A lot of people just need someone to kind of believe in you and what you dream,
Yeah.
and then it makes it a lot more. It feels like reality. Feels like you're able to accomplish that if someone besides yourself believes in it as well. And I think that's huge for people. But just like you said, like you have to reach out, right? Because no one knows how you're feeling, right? No one, especially if they're not around you every single day, like they don't know that you're having an off day or an off week,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they don't know what the cause of that is either. So it's okay to reach out too, right? People around you want to see you do better and they don't want to see you hurting. So they would much rather you say something than, things go wrong for you in your life. So don't be afraid to reach out.
And another cool thing I just thought of is how mental health affects teams and how you can combat that. I mean, I think about the early morning workouts that I've been a part of where a lot of dudes don't want to be there. We're tired. We've had workouts all week, whatever, and we got to go do a Friday morning workout. Like one of the toughest ones to do. You're at the end of the week, your body's sore, tired, whatever, but Friday workouts are always the hardest. And so at least for my program. And I think it's cool to look around and see these other teammates that are going through the exact same thing you're going through. You see it firsthand, and it's awesome. It's like, man, I'm tired, but I'm sure this guy's just as tired as me. Oh, same with this guy. And for me, I got 100 other guys that are just as tired. So it's easy to look around a room and be like, all these guys are coming here to work for not only themselves, but they're doing it for me as well. It's easy. It's easy to follow your dream and chase your dream when you see that every day. Now, for some people in real life, football's not real life for everyone, but in real life, you go and work out on your own. You go do these things on your own. If you don't have anyone to bounce your feelings off of and bounce how you're feeling and push your ideas off of, I guess, how are you supposed to get the best out of yourself? Because no one's holding you accountable, first off, and that's the thing I love about teammates is they hold you accountable.
Right.
They hold you to that standard. You can't hold yourself accountable all the time. I mean, unless you're perfect.
But that's, I think, why it's so good to you get to decide who's your support system and who you spend your time with, right? So having people, right? If I openly come and say, hey, I want to do this, this, and this in the gym this year, well, if I tell you that, then you're gonna text me accordingly, right? You're gonna say, oh, hey, did you lift today? Did you do this and this and this? And did you do it to your full ability, right? Because it is hard to hold yourself accountable, and it's good to get the push from other people. But I might be a little different, but in some aspects, I feel a different kind of satisfaction when, you know what? No, I don't have a coach screaming at me to get up to go to my workout in the morning and give it my all.
And you do it anyway.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right? And of course, is there sometimes when I miss? 100%. I'd be a total liar if I said I did it every day, right, to my fullest ability, right? Which is so good to have your support system around you. But being able to balance that and sometimes being able to pick yourself up when you're just so tired, you feel, the excuses start coming. Oh, I only got 6 hours of sleep. Oh, I didn't have a good dinner last night, blah, blah, blah. When you just get up and get your ass to work, and then you do it, and you had no one there except yourself to tell you, it feels pretty damn good after, that's for sure. But overall, it is really important to have a good support system around you to help you with your goals, because when you have other people relying on you, it's a lot easier to get up than when you're just doing it for yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's so cool that you share that, because we're going through different athletes' feats, I guess, every day. We're going through different workouts. We work out way different. We work out way different. Our schedule's way different. He's working out for different reasons than I'm working out. He's an athlete for different reasons than I'm an athlete, and that's everyone. And that's kind of, I think, cool with this podcast. As you guys see, we're gonna have so many different opinions and perspectives on the best way to go about it. I know for a fact that I'm fueled by someone. If someone lines up to me, if someone lines up next to me in a race, I feel like I'm gonna run faster racing someone than I would if it was just me. That's just how I tick. That's how I work.
Right.
I love to compete. that is built in me. I love competing. I love being the fastest guy, the strongest guy, whatever it may be. For football wise, I love to catch a pass over someone, whoever it is. And as Lincoln talks about, like, he's able to motivate himself just off of really his own feelings and keeping himself accountable. And I think that's awesome too. And really, I mean, that comes down to everyone. Everyone has that type of accountability. Everyone has that accountability that they have to hold for themselves. But I just think it's cool to see, different things fuel different people, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and we really want to not only bring people on and kind of create a community of people who have their own downfalls and their own stories and different things that get people up in the morning, right? But we also want to start possibly some groups on some socials, something like that, so everyone, even if you don't come on the podcast, we have a chat room where you can voice your own struggles and your own things that you're doing every day that you're proud of, and share it with everyone else who are going through their own things in their totally different walk of life, but everyone's trying to accomplish similar things.
Yeah, and that's what Athletes Feet's all about. We want to find a way to motivate you guys and who's listening and who's paying attention through other people's stories. It's going to be a lot of us talking. I think we have pretty cool lives, but we're going to get so many other people that have done it a different way and experienced it a different way than we might have.
100%.
If there was one thing that you could say, just from your perspective and your opinions, what you go through every day for your mental health, what would that be? What's one thing you could do that would help your mental health drastically over anything else?
If I could, I'm sure that there's lots of things, but
Right.
I think for one thing off the top of my head would be always being accountable. I feel like when there's times when I don't do the things I say that I'm going to do, or, I make excuses or things like that, which sometimes is just being human, right? But I really think just being accountable and sticking to what I say I'm going to do is huge, because when I don't do the things I'm going to do because I feel like, oh, I don't want to do that today, or I'm too tired, or whatever it is, whenever I'm laying in bed, I feel like crap about that, right? Constantly. And I think that really weighs on me, because then if other people can't rely on me, how can I rely on myself? You know what I mean? And vice versa. If I can't rely on myself, how can I make other people rely on me, right? And I think that's a huge thing for me, being a coach and being a role model to kids and different things like that, is I want to always practice what I preach, right? I don't want to be someone who comes on here or tells people that I do this, this, and this, but then most of the days I only do this and this, right? I want to constantly practice what I preach, and I think that is huge for my own mental health. I think obviously we could go into drinking water, always getting the sleep that we need, everything like that. But for me, I would say just always being accountable on what I say I'm going to do.
Yeah.
What would you say for yourself?
I would, obviously accountability is great, and I would say the same thing, but for me, the biggest definitely would have to be, just trying to find joy in what you do. And
Yeah.
my schedule is I have a very routine schedule. I mean, I wake up and I work out, I eat, I study football, I do a little bit of school, and then I go to sleep and I repeat. And I do this, I play 12 games a year of football right now, and I train all year long for it. So, sometimes it gets boring. Sometimes you're just repeating your same stuff every day, and it wears out. You get worn out. But if you find joy in the little things and find joy in your craft, find joy in those day-to-day things that most people wouldn't find joy in, I felt like that's helped me the most in just trying to be happy through the crappy stuff, because I can look over and see a teammate that's doing the same work I'm doing, and we can laugh about it after the workout's over. So, just finding joy, and trying to be happy. When I talked to Gronk, one of the coolest things I took away from that conversation was, he kind of mentioned, like, with the NFL and getting to the NFL and playing for a long time, you have to find a way to be happy and have a positive mindset at practice, because when you don't feel like hitting people, when you don't feel like going out and working hard and running at practice, it can drag on, and that's 2-3 hours of your day that is awful. If you don't want to be there, it's not fun. Football practice is not an enjoyable thing if you're not there for the right reasons. Now, if you're there for the right reasons, you're there to get better, you find joy in your craft, you find joy in becoming a better version of yourself. It's awesome, because you're spending 2 hours out there playing the sport you love, getting to become a better version of yourself. So it's simple for me. It's just finding joy.
Right. And I think that there's always things that no matter who you are in your life, there's things that you don't want to do, right? And it's easy to just say, oh, this sucks, or blah, 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 right? And how many people have that with their jobs? I can even say that I'm guilty of this sometimes, even though I'm very lucky to have the job that I do. But it's super easy to turn around and constantly say, oh, this sucks. But your life is the best life that you can live, if that makes sense, right? Like, stop worrying about what other people are doing, and stop worrying about what you could be doing, because what you could be doing is what you're doing right now. And you might as well just enjoy what you're doing right now, because you can either do it and you kind of like it, or you can either do it and it sucks.
And to add to that, with seeing social media, everyone's out there. That I know that's a big issue these days, is people go on social media and they see these people living these extravagant lives and traveling and doing all these amazing things. One of our hopes with Athletes Feed is to just be real and authentic. We want to be true to ourselves. We're not the biggest social media guys. We're trying to become better at it, but we're just not. And, being true to ourselves and true to the brand, really, and just, like, being real. Like, there's a lot of crap that happens when you're going through the trenches and trying to become a better version of yourself. It's not all sunshine and flowers. Like, it is a lot of crap. There's a lot of days where you wake up and you're not happy. But then there's when you get to the top, I mean, there's nothing that beats it. My first game at Arizona that I got to play in was the best feeling ever. I went through a whole off season. I transferred whole off season, got to play in this game that I dreamed of playing in for years, like years. And, that's a moment I'll never forget. And I can keep that. Like Lincoln was saying, it's my life. Like, I'm the only person that can make this life amazing. And to me, that was amazing. That's everything I've ever wanted, and I achieved it. And you're not going to achieve every dream you go after, but it's the path.
It's the chase,
it's
too,
the chase.
right?
Like, it's just a constant stacking day after day, and that's really what builds your character and then turns you into who you're going to be.
Exactly. Yeah. Your repetitions every day is really what builds you, not the achievements that you end up getting because of those things. Because if you're only looking for the achievements, as soon as you get there to whatever your set goal is, you're going to quit, right? And you might not just quit that, but then everything else, right?
Yeah.
But if you really just worry about the work and enjoy the work, right? Like, yeah, it might suck, but if you just enjoy the grind every single day, that's going to get you so far, because you love the little things, right? Not many people will just be content with what they have, right? You might grind and you might buy a home, but then as soon as you buy a home, is that where you're stuck at? Or are you going to keep achieving for more and keep grinding because you love the grind? Or do you just love the stuff, right? And if you love the stuff, it's pretty easy to feel empty after you buy the stuff.
Right.
But if you love the challenge, then you're going to keep going after bigger and better challenges.
And that's why it's so important to be on top of your mental health, because you can't get to any of these challenges. You really can't create the best version of yourself if you're not happy with yourself. I feel like I've been pretty blessed in this life. I've had a lot of blessings. I've had a lot of things go my way. I really don't have much to complain about. I'm just being real. I've had a really good life so far, and not everyone can say the same thing, and I'm not going to speak for anyone, but one thing I've learned and come to know is that if you don't, if your mind is not where you are, if you are somewhere else, if I don't even know the best way to say it. Really, when I was at Southern Utah, the whole time I was there, I was like, man, how can I get out? How can I get out? How can I get out? And I didn't start to become a better version of myself and really figure out myself as an individual until I was like, okay, I'm here. I'm stuck at Southern Utah. What can I do to the best? What can I do to become the best Southern Utah football player? What can I do to become the best person here in Cedar City? Maybe my goal. It's not saying you shouldn't dream bigger, dream whatever, because that dream never left, but it was like, who am I going to become with the cards that I've been dealt?
Yeah.
Where can I go with these cards?
Where can I work now?
Yeah.
Right? Not in the future. Not when I'm going to do this, this, and this once I get to that place where I want to be. But yeah, like you said, how can I just really take what I have here and turn it into what I want it to be?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No,
and I think you should expand on that too, because you're working your butt off. Like, you're working your ass off here in Canada. This isn't your end goal. I don't think you want to end up in Southern Alberta. Not saying Southern Alberta is a bad place, but like, you talk about where you see, and even with the podcast, and how has mental health affected where you're going today and why you want to go that way?
Yeah, no. So I think I just think that what we're doing here with the podcast, I would love for this to grow into something that I could do full time. I currently work as a heavy duty mechanic, and I do love my job, but I feel like I know myself and I am a social person, right? And through my 23 years of life, I feel like I've really been able to connect with people, right? I feel like I'm a people's person, and I really enjoy getting a deeper connection and hearing things from people that I can take into my life, and vice versa, hoping that I can gift other people with things that struggles that I've been through with my life, and hopefully help them out with things by giving them strategies or just letting them hear things that I've been through. So I really, I think that my goal with this podcast and this brand is to really be able to go full time into being a people's person, really, on top of everything, right? Once we bring these guests on and everything else, I don't want this really to be about me. I want you guys to, know me better and hear some of my thoughts, but really I want you guys to be hearing all these awesome stories from these other athletes that we're going to be getting on, and through all of our other campaigns and other things like that, is really be able to bring people together and make a difference by just letting people know that they're not alone in any of their shit that they got going on, right? Like, I know how easy it is. I spend a lot of time alone at work. I know how easy it is to feel like you're alone and how easy it is to get in your own head. But you just got to keep working and know that there's other people out there to reach out to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're not counselors or anything of the nature at all. We're just some guys who've been through some shit ourselves, but we are also here for any of our community or anyone who ends up listening to this, right? Like, we have our socials. You're more than welcome to reach out to us, because we just want to show people that you're not alone, and we're
it's okay
here to help.
Talk about it. Yeah. And this episode was obviously, it kind of introduced us and where we're going with this, but mental health. That's going to, I'm sure, be a very big focal point because it affects every athlete. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
It affects every single athlete. It affects every single person. And we're going to end up touching on it in a lot of episodes, and it's going to be different perspectives. It might go in a different way than we imagined, but yeah, I think it was pretty important for us to kind of lay the I guess the baseline down of how we feel and where we see this going, and really, what the brand and what the brand, I guess, of Athlete's Feet is to us.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think we've pretty much touched on everything that we want to touch on today. Again, this is not the last time that we've probably talked about any of this stuff. This stuff is important to us, so I know that we like to repeat ourselves too, so I'm
we
sure
repeat ourselves a lot.
if you listen to us, you'll hear probably
You'll
most
hear
of the
some
same
of-
stuff 2 or
yeah.
3 times,
Yeah.
but that's okay because
We're learning.
right? And you sometimes it takes people 3 or 4 times to hear
Right.
something to really let it click in their brains and
Yeah.
really make an active change in something. So,
And by no means are we saying we're perfect or like we are.
that I think
We are
that's
learning
the
just as much as you
opposite,
guys
right?
are learning. Yeah.
The opposite we're trying to put off is
Yeah.
we're not perfect. We're human, and that is okay. That's okay. So,
Yeah.
but I think that pretty much wraps it up for our first episode. We will see you guys next week.